So today we are going to talk about multi-touch attribution model. I already created a video which you can find here on single touch, and do watch it if you want to know what is the difference. I want to explain multi-touch using my own personal story. And this is because a lot of founders go through the same, right? So I started my agency back in 2024, and at that time, I did not know how to get clients. So like everybody else, what you got to do? You have ChatGPT. You got to go there and ask ChatGPT, how do I get clients for my law firm or my practice area or my web development agency or software development agency, whatever, right? And it would just throw out some generic stuff on you, and then you follow that, and then it doesn't work, right? Then you'd go on YouTube, you watch some influencers, and you realize that, oh, LinkedIn could have been something that might convert, or TikTok could be something that might convert, or YouTube might convert, right? So what I chose LinkedIn as my main go-to, because I believed, and sorry, I did not believe, but because ChatGPT and everybody else told me that to get B2B clients, you need to go on LinkedIn, right? So I reactivated my old profile from 2017 and I started posting. Then I learned that you have to be consistent. You have to post every single day or at least 3 times a day. So you might have heard that too. And as I posted more and more, I got so tired because I would constantly think about what I should post, right? I would build, I'll generate ideas. I would look into my past, and then I would write those posts myself to keep the originality and just post it, right? But then I saw people posting like, oh, I fired 10 employees today, and this has been the best decision. And then the rest of it was just slop, right? And at the end, comment something to send you a lead magnet, and thousands of likes on that post, hundreds of comments, and I don't know what would be the impressions on that. Whereas my post, very insightful, trying to help others, would get hardly 15, 20, 35, 100 impressions and few likes, right? From my friends who were not in my ICP. So then something amazing happened. I got 2 bookings on my calendar through LinkedIn, obviously, because that's where my calendar really was. And one was from a lawyer who needed help with her website, and another one from another person in e-commerce industry. He wanted help with his store, right? When I asked them that you have never ever liked my post, you have never commented on my post, how did you find me? How did you know I'm the right person to contact? And they said, we just felt like that you know your stuff, what you talk about, and that's why we're here, right? So obviously they didn't remember which post they get attracted to, and that led them to take an action to book a call with me. And that's the thing which troubled me the most, because when you're posting on social media or any other online channel, you knowingly or unknowingly generate educational content, informational content, navigational content. You also generate commercial content, but you don't exactly know which is converting. And that was my biggest question, that in which area do I need to put my effort and my time so people would contact me or people would see that I know my stuff, right? So that's the point. At the end of the day, when you're on LinkedIn, the ultimate goal is to generate leads. Unless you want to be an influencer, that's a separate issue, or just a content creator, and you're trying to capture brand deals or sponsorships through your reach. Otherwise, I think most of the people are looking for leads, right? So I then wanted to study this deeply, and I wanted to see how can I track these people, get the data from my content, and I exactly know which content is converting, which content isn't converting, rather than just seeing impressions, likes, and comments on my posts. So I learned that initially, even if you don't have a lot of money, you can apply basic tracking, right? And that is done through UTM Parameters. So you can search, it's UTM Parameters on Google, and you'll find a lot of content on it. It's just a extension of your existing website or landing page link, or wherever you want people to come to, right? Which adds more information. For example, which source the person is coming from, whether it's YouTube, whether it's TikTok, LinkedIn, Reddit, or wherever you post, right? Then it would tell you that what type of campaign you were running, whether it's a branding campaign, whether it's some sort of commercial selling campaign, this is a lead magnet campaign, whatever, right? And then it would also tell you what would be the type of content that generated that, interest. For example, it could be an educational content, it could be informational or commercial content, whatever, right? So when you do that, you just need to capture that in your form or call rail setup if you have set it, or maybe if you're using a calendar, you could set it up there. And you then send that information back to Google Analytics. Now, Google Analytics, when you see it, it's a very, simple dashboard where you can track the countries, the type of traffic, and which landing pages people are generally coming to. But it wouldn't tell you in depth unless it is heavily customized. And that's what and where most people go in the dark. And that's where you need to fix that particular dashboard so it gives you the right signals. Now, what I did then, as I expanded my content from one platform to many platforms, I needed it to track everything. So I would put the UTM link, and because it's a big ass ugly link, so you got to shorten it and you put it somewhere, right? It could be a call to action, it could be on your bio page, anywhere you see fit or you think that this is the type of content where I want to track it, right? And then check the results. So if, let's suppose, there are people who do not engage with you, who do not comment on your post, they don't like your post, but they're reading your post or looking at your videos or watching your videos, and then they click on that link and they come to your website, you exactly know that these are the people or this is the type of content that is converting. So if you're into high ticket sales, in my understanding, high ticket for me is anything beyond $5,000. You'd realize it's not like an e-commerce platform where you're selling a course or a product for $99 or $50 and people just look at your ads and click on it and then buy it, right? it's more complex because for an average person, they need to consume at least 7 hours of your content before they start trusting you in giving their time to sit with you and ask what and how you can help. So which means they're not just going to go through one of your content pieces, they're going to actually research on you from multiple sources. For example, on Monday, there's a person who just got introduced to your content via LinkedIn, right? So he just read a post where you explained how your law firm is helping people who are going through divorce, right? And then he just clicks on the link that you've given, and then they visit your website and look at your website, and then they don't have time at that time, possibly, or it could be any other reason, they just bounce off, right? Later on, they now are on YouTube and they see your podcast, right? On the podcast, you talk about divorce and the effects of it on children, on personal, life, and how you can protect your assets or whatever, right? And then they look at your podcast and then again check you out through the link. And now this time they also read your service pages. But because they might not be going through a divorce right now, they might be just thinking about it. So that person does not take an action, right? Later on, few days or a week has passed, and now because they were on your website and you have their information and you are running retargeting ads on Meta, where you are targeting people who visited your website in the last 30 days, let's suppose, and they see your ad, click on your ad, and this time just roams around your website, look at a very good content blog piece that you've written about what not to do when you're going through a divorce, right? Or you're planning a divorce. And then they bounce again, right? Then after 3-4 days, they are actually going through a divorce and they need an attorney. So their intent of getting the service is much higher. This time they just write, okay, best divorce lawyer near me, right? And in your local area, your website shows up, and then they click on your website and then they book a call, right? Now all this that I've discussed creates sort of an awareness, and then you provide them with some educational content. They went through that, and then finally, when they had a commercial intent, they searched on Google, they checked out your website and booked a meeting for you, right? So suppose they paid you like $5,000, $10,000 US to help them with their case. Now you cannot just say that my LinkedIn doesn't work, my podcasting doesn't work. You can't say my blogs don't work. It's only SEO that works because your website popped up, right? It would be wrong because that person never ever got converted because they just searched you on Google. But there's a journey behind it. And if that journey is tracked, you know how much time you need to put in other channels to bring in more leads, because obviously you're working in a high ticket industry. So most of the law firms that I work with are happy with a U-shaped attribution model. U-shaped attribution model means that out of 100% of attribution, you give 40% to the first touch, which was obviously the LinkedIn post, which created the awareness that they could possibly become your client, and 40% to your SEO, because that's where they found your website at the end to book a call. But in the middle, you just attribute it to 20% for the podcasting and the blog content, because obviously those pieces actually played a significant role. So then you could also look at for, high velocity firms like personal injury or longer sales cycle, probate or estate planning, whatever. You could use Time-Decay model, which is that you give more credit to the actions which are taken at the end rather than actions which are taken in the first place. And what it means is that if you're giving 10% credit to LinkedIn, then you would have to give the majority credit, which is 60 to 70%, to your SEO, because that's where they finally found you and took action. But all these models really depend on what type of firm you're running, how many channels you're using. But without tracking, you are just shooting arrows in the blind, because you don't know exactly why are you posting content on TikTok, why are you posting content on YouTube, why are you posting content on Instagram. You don't know. And you'll ever know this if you have the right data being tracked. This then helps you in tracking offline conversions as well, because you see, at the end of the day, we need to find the return of investment on our efforts or the money you put in, right? And for law firms, the conversions are mostly offline, because you're not selling a package on your website. You're basically consulting the client. And then if they buy a retainer, that means that that's all done after they fill a form or book a call or whatever, right? So you need to have this data in your CRM where the tracking parameters are there. You know exactly where this person is coming from. And then you're sending that back to Google Analytics. So Google Analytics knows that how this person came to your site in the first place and when this person actually booked a retainer and what was the journey he came through. So that would be all for today. And that's what multi-touch really is in the most basic form that I wanted to explain. If you need help, I have linked a complete guide below in the description. You can download, read it in depth, how to implement UTM parameters. They get really complex sometimes when you have to attach so many of them, how you can manage them, the tools you need. And that's how you can start the basic tracking at least from today, so you don't waste time or don't get burnt out by doing so much and not knowing where the results are really coming.